In the darkness of a Romanian abbey in 1952, something ancient and unspeakably evil was unleashed. A demonic entity so powerful and terrifying that it would haunt the nightmares of anyone who encountered it. Manifesting as a twisted, blasphemous mockery of a Catholic nun, this demon would become one of the most iconic and terrifying figures in modern horror cinema. But what many don't realize is that Valak is not just a Hollywood creation. This demon is real, documented in ancient grimoires of demonology for centuries before ever appearing on screen. This is the complete story of Valak, the demon nun, the Marquis of Snakes, and one of the most powerful entities in the hierarchy of hell. Valak's story in popular culture begins with the Conjuring universe, specifically in The Conjuring 2, released in 2016, where the demon terrorizes the Hodgson family in Enfield, England, and torments paranormal investigator Lorraine Warren with horrifying visions. But it is in the 2018 film The Nun and its 2023 sequel, The Nun 2, that we learn Valak's origin story, or at least the cinematic version of it. However, the real Valak existed in demonological texts long before Hollywood discovered this terrifying entity. In the Conjuring universe narrative, we are told that in 1952, at the Abbey of St. Carter in Romania, a tragic event occurred. The abbey, built on unholy ground during the Dark Ages, was constructed by a duke obsessed with the occult. He used the blood of Christ, obtained through unknown and surely blasphemous means, to seal a rift between our world and hell itself. This rift was a gateway through which demons could enter our realm, and the most powerful entity, waiting on the other side, was Valak. For centuries, the nuns of St. Carter maintained a constant vigil of prayer, keeping the gateway sealed through their devotion and the power of Christ's blood. They prayed without ceasing, their faith acting as a barrier against the demonic forces that pressed against the seal, desperate to break through into our world. But during World War II, the abbey was bombed. The explosion damaged the seal, and the rift began to open. The demonic presence that had been contained for centuries finally found a weakness, a crack through which it could seep into our reality. Valak, being a demon of immense power and cunning, chose a form specifically designed to mock and corrupt, the appearance of a nun, a bride of Christ. This wasn't random. Demons, according to demonological tradition, often take forms that pervert and blaspheme what is holy. By appearing as a nun, Valak was committing the ultimate sacrilege, wearing the sacred habit as a disguise while spreading death and corruption. The pale, skeletal face, the yellow eyes, the twisted features, all of it was designed to be a nightmarish inversion of everything a nun represents. In the films, we see Valak's power on full display. The demon can manipulate reality, create terrifying illusions, possess the living, and even raise the dead. It feeds on fear and uses psychological torture as its primary weapon. In The Nun, we learn that Valak's ultimate goal is to possess a human host, specifically a person of faith whose corruption would give the demon even greater power in the mortal realm. The demon nearly succeeds in possessing Father Burke, one of the investigators sent by the Vatican to investigate the abbey. The climax of The Nun reveals that Valak can only be defeated by the blood of Christ, the same holy relic that was used to seal the gateway in the first place. Sister Irene, a young novitiate who hasn't yet taken her final vows, discovers that she possesses a unique gift. She has visions and a spiritual sensitivity that allows her to confront Valak directly. In a desperate final confrontation, she uses the blood of Christ to banish Valak back through the gateway, sealing it once more. But as we learn in The Conjuring 2, Valak was not permanently defeated. The demon somehow escaped its prison and began manifesting in Enfield, England in 1977 during the famous Enfield poltergeist case investigated by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Valak specifically targeted Lorraine Warren, appearing in her visions and trying to kill Ed Warren, knowing that breaking Lorraine's spirit would make her vulnerable to possession or corruption. In the film, Lorraine has a vision of Ed's death, impaled by a twisted tree branch in their home. This vision haunts her throughout the investigation, and Valak uses her fear against her. The demon appears repeatedly, sometimes as the nun, sometimes as other forms, always trying to break down Lorraine's faith and resolve. The climactic confrontation occurs when Lorraine realizes that by learning the demon's true name, Valak, she gains power over it. In demonological tradition, knowing a demon's true name gives you authority to command it. When Lorraine speaks the name Valak and commands the demon to return to hell in the name of Jesus Christ, the entity is banished. The Nun 2, released in 2023, continues the story 4 years after the events of the first film. We discover that Valak was not actually destroyed at the Abbey. The demon merely retreated, biding its time and growing stronger. The film reveals that Valak has been hunting for the eyes of Saint Lucy, a powerful holy relic that, if corrupted by demonic power, could give Valak the ability to see into the hearts and souls of all humanity, making everyone vulnerable to possession and corruption. Sister Irene, now fully committed to her vocation, must once again confront the demon that nearly destroyed her. The film takes us across France as Valak leaves a trail of death and terror, possessing people and using them as puppets to achieve its goals. We learn more about Valak's nature. It is patient, cunning, and utterly ruthless. The demon doesn't simply kill, it corrupts, turning the faithful against each other and using their own beliefs as weapons against them. But this is the Hollywood version of Valak. What about the real demon documented in historical grimoires? The truth is even more fascinating, and in some ways more terrifying than the movies portray. Valak, also spelled Valak, Valu, Ualak, or Volak, is a demon that appears in the Ars Goetia, the first section of the Lesser Key of Solomon, a grimoire of demonology compiled in the 17th century but drawing on much older sources. The Ars Goetia catalogues 72 demons, their ranks, powers, and the methods by which they can be summoned and commanded by a skilled practitioner of ceremonial magic. According to the Ars Goetia, Valak is the 62nd spirit listed. The grimoire describes Valak as a president of hell, commanding 38 legions of demons. This is a significant rank. Presidents are among the higher orders of demons, below only kings, dukes, and princes in the infernal hierarchy. 38 legions would mean Valak commands thousands upon thousands of lesser demons, making this entity one of considerable power and influence in hell. But here's where it gets interesting. The traditional description of Valak in the Ars Goetia is nothing like the demonic nun of the movies. The grimoire describes Valak as appearing in the form of a small boy with angel wings, riding on a two-headed dragon. This is a far cry from the skeletal nun that terrorizes the Conjuring universe. The angelic appearance is particularly insidious. Demons often appear as angels of light to deceive those who would summon them, and a child with angel wings would seem innocent and trustworthy, making the demon's true nature all the more dangerous. The Ars Goetia states that Valak's particular power is revealing the locations of hidden treasures, including where serpents can be found. The text specifically mentions that Valak is called the Marquis of Snakes, or Grand Marquis in some traditions. This association with serpents is deeply symbolic. The serpent in Judeo-Christian tradition is associated with Satan, with temptation, with the fall of humanity in the Garden of Eden. A demon that commands serpents is a demon associated with the very origin of sin and evil in the world. Interestingly, some occult scholars have noted that Valak's association with finding treasures and serpents may have deeper meanings. In alchemical and hermetic traditions, the serpent represents hidden knowledge, wisdom, and transformation. A demon that can reveal where serpents are found might be offering forbidden knowledge, the same temptation that the serpent offered Eve in Eden. The treasures Valak reveals might not be merely physical gold and jewels, but dangerous spiritual knowledge that corrupts those who seek it. The grimoire provides specific instructions for summoning Valak. The practitioner must draw the demon's sigil, a specific magical symbol unique to each demon, and perform the ritual at the correct astrological time. The summoner must be protected within a magic circle and must know the proper words of command to bind the demon and prevent it from harming them. This is crucial. Summoning a demon without proper protection and knowledge of its true name and nature is considered extremely dangerous, potentially resulting in possession, madness, or death. The fact that knowing Valak's true name gives power over the demon, as depicted in The Conjuring 2, is actually consistent with genuine demonological tradition. In ceremonial magic, knowing a spirit's true name is essential for commanding it. This is why demons, when summoned, will often try to deceive the summoner about their true identity, giving false names or refusing to identify themselves. A skilled practitioner must force the demon to reveal its true name before any binding or commanding can take place. So why did the filmmakers of the Conjuring universe choose Valak specifically? And why did they change the demon's appearance so drastically? According to interviews with director James Wan, the choice was partly practical and partly creative. They wanted a demon with a real historical basis in demonology, giving the films an air of authenticity. Valak fit the bill as a powerful demon from the Ars Goetia. However, a small boy with angel wings riding a dragon, while potentially creepy, wasn't visually striking enough for modern horror cinema. The decision to make Valak appear as a demonic nun was inspired by a painting one saw of a nun with a very pale, gaunt face. He found the image deeply unsettling and realized that a demonic nun would be the perfect antagonist. It combines the uncanny valley effect of something that should be holy and comforting becoming twisted and evil. The religious imagery also fit perfectly with the Warrens' Catholic faith and their use of religious artifacts and prayers to combat demonic forces. The choice was brilliant from a horror perspective. The image of the demon nun, with its pale, corpse-like face, yellow eyes, and blood-red lips set against the black and white of a nun's habit, became instantly iconic. Actress Bonnie Aarons, who portrays Valak, brings a genuinely unsettling presence to the role, her unusual facial features and towering height making the demon seem otherworldly and wrong in a way that triggers deep, instinctive fear. But beyond the visual horror, the Conjuring universe's Valak represents something theologically interesting. The demon is portrayed as being specifically opposed to faith, targeting religious people and holy places. This makes sense from a Christian demonological perspective. Demons are fallen angels who rebelled against God, and they would naturally seek to corrupt and destroy anything associated with God's work on earth. Churches, monasteries, faithful believers, all of these would be prime targets for demonic attack. The films also explore the concept of spiritual warfare, the idea that there is an ongoing battle between good and evil, between angels and demons, between God and Satan, playing out in both the spiritual and physical realms. The nuns of St. Carter maintaining their prayer vigil for centuries, holding back the demonic forces through faith alone, represents this concept beautifully. When their prayers cease, when faith falters, evil breaks through. Sister Irene's character arc across the two nun films is essentially about the development and testing of faith. In the first film, she is a novitiate, not yet fully committed, still questioning. By confronting Valak, she is forced to either embrace her faith fully or be destroyed. Her faith becomes her weapon, her shield, the only thing standing between her and demonic destruction. By the second film, she has become a full nun, her faith tested and proven, making her an even more formidable opponent for Valak. The real-life Ed and Lorraine Warren, whose cases inspired the Conjuring universe, genuinely believed in the reality of demonic possession and demonic entities. They investigated thousands of cases over their decades-long career, and they maintained that demons were real, dangerous, and actively working to corrupt and destroy human souls. Whether one believes in the literal existence of demons or views them as psychological or cultural phenomena, the Warrens' work and the films based on their cases tap into deep, primal fears about evil, corruption, and the vulnerability of the human soul. Valak, whether appearing as a skeletal nun or as a child with angel wings riding a dragon, represents a particular type of evil, patient, cunning, corruptive evil that doesn't simply destroy, but perverts and twists what is good. This is perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the demon. Valak doesn't just kill, the demon corrupts faith, turns believers against each other, makes the holy profane. This is evil that doesn't announce itself with obvious violence, but seeps in slowly, finding cracks in faith and exploiting them. In our modern world, where faith and religious belief are often questioned or dismissed, the figure of Valak serves as a reminder of older worldviews in which the spiritual realm was considered just as real as the physical, and in which demons were not metaphors, but actual entities with will, intelligence, and malevolent purpose. Whether one believes in the literal existence of such beings or not, they represent something real about human experience, the presence of evil, the reality of corruption, the constant struggle between what builds up and what tears down, between what gives life and what brings death. The demon nun has become a cultural icon, instantly recognizable even to those who haven't seen the films. Valak represents our modern horror mythology, rooted in ancient tradition, but adapted for contemporary fears and sensibilities. The demon reminds us that some evils are patient, that corruption can wear a holy face, and that the battle between good and evil is never truly over. It simply takes new forms in each generation, waiting in the darkness for faith to falter and the seal to break.